Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over how much I think the Mansions DLC is going to cost in GTA Online when it releases on December 9th. Now I also just want to say before we get into this video, I really don't enjoy speculating this early as to what a DLC is going to cost. We haven't even got a trailer yet, we haven't seen anything, we don't really know what's going to be included in this DLC. So what I've done is I've gone and taken the total amount of money from the last 5 GTA Online DLCs and the amount of vehicles added with each of those, and I've factored that in to my price prediction for this DLC. And I've also factored in the fact that this is going to be the Mansions DLC, which is very likely going to be an expensive DLC. But we're not going to jump overboard, we're not going to go crazy with it. Let's go ahead and get into what we know so far. Now what we know so far is how much the previous 5 DLCs have costed us. The San Andreas Mercenaries DLC cost, without upgrades on any of the vehicles or anything crazy like that, about $29 million, and that was with 14 vehicles added in that update. Then we move on to the Chop Shop, and that had a total of 16 vehicles in that update and cost just over $40 million in total. Again, not factoring in upgrades or anything crazy like that. Then we had Agents of Sabotage, which was the most expensive DLC we've had out of the last 5, and that cost $49 million, which is quite a bit of money, and only 14 vehicles were added with that update. Then we had Bottom Dollar Bounties, and that cost about $48 million, just under. And that added 16 vehicles into the game. And then of course we had Money Fronts, the most recent DLC. That was only a $34.5 million update, and it added 10 vehicles, which is kind of weak actually. But nonetheless, most of the DLCs hover right around an average of $40 million. Now, I think something that is very important to keep in mind with this update is that the theme Mansions will likely carry a pretty hefty price tag alongside it. I think it's probably going to be the most expensive DLC that we've ever had in GTA Online, or at least one of the most expensive ones we've had anywhere recently in GTA Online. But I'm also not going to go overboard, like I said, with the predictions, because that's not realistic either. So here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. My prediction is that Mansions are going to have like a base cost of between $5 and $10 million, and this is going to vary greatly depending on the location and any potential trade prices that can be unlocked through doing the missions for constructing said mansions. Then on top of it all, I think upgrades for those mansions, assuming they're going to be upgradable, which I think is very likely. How are we going to get mansions that can't be upgraded? That doesn't make any sense. Also, being that we're getting mansions, I feel like this is going to be a very end game oriented update. So I think there's going to be some really cool stuff we're going to be able to do in these mansions. Whether that's a master control terminal or something like that, something maybe even better than the master control terminal. I think if it's going to be available anywhere, it's going to be in the mansions. So I think upgrades are going to range from between $5 and $7 million, depending on what those upgrades are. Some of them are definitely going to be cosmetic. Some of them, though, are definitely going to do something for us players in GTA Online, I think. I don't think this is going to be a yacht situation where you buy a $10 million yacht for no reason. I think it's going to be between $5 and $7 million for the upgrade range as far as the cost goes. Now, next up, I think as far as vehicles go, on day 1, I'm predicting between 6 and 7 vehicles on the first day. And likely another, I swear to God, I did not plan this, another 6 or 7 with drip feed in the future. Now, I'm also betting with this update that we're going to be getting multiple supercars as well as a good few high-end sports cars and probably some luxury SUVs. Now, I think the supercars, I think it's fair to say they're going to be around $3 million, probably totaling about $6 million plus if you factor in upgrades and everything like that. I think it's very likely that we're going to get probably 3 sports cars in this update, probably between $1.5 million to $2,250,000 a piece, without upgrades, of course. So between $4.5 million to $6,750,000. I hate this, dude. I hate this. I also think we're going to get 2 SUVs probably with this update. Probably going to be between $1,250,000 and $1,750,000. So totaling $2.5 million to $3.5 million for the SUVs. Now, something that I think people have totally negated with this update is the fact that we have a couple of potential police vehicles that still haven't been released to us that we could maybe be able to purchase in the future. Those vehicles being the Police Maverick, the Police Helicopter, the FIB Unmarked Cruiser, and of course the Buffalo Patrol Car. None of which we have access to yet. Given the fact that we've had so many police cars released to us, and these are some of the few remaining ones, I think it's fair to say we're going to see at least one of them, and those police cars are going to run up a lot of money. I think it's pretty fair to assume that if we get those police cars, if we get even one of them, it's going to cost between $3.5 million to about $5 million. And if we get all three, that's obviously going to be like $10.5 million to about $15 million for all three, if we get all three. I think we're probably going to get like one or two, maybe. So that's, you know, about $10 million. I think it's also pretty likely, given the theme of mansions, that we're going to get a new plane or boat or helicopter of some sort with this update. And I think a plane or helicopter is going to cost right around $3 million. And I think a new boat, assuming that it's going to be something kind of good, is going to be about $1.5 million. I think that's pretty fair. And I think any other vehicles that we receive with the update are going to be between $5 and $10 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think more likely closer to 5, but who knows. So the total amount of money that I think this DLC is going to cost, roughly, is between $36 million to about $48 million. I think that's the total amount of money we're going to need. Now, obviously, this is pretty conservative. This isn't even factoring in everything that I talked about. For example, if they add all 3 police vehicles, it's going to be more. It's going to be like $55 million. If they add a plane and a boat and maybe a helicopter as well, that's going to add more money to the total. I think it's a safe bet that on the low end, this DLC is going to cost roughly $40 million, factoring in upgrades and everything as well on top of that. And on the high end, I think it's going to be close to $60 million, depending on what we actually get with the update. And with upgrades and everything like that for the vehicles factored in, I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption. So between 40 and 60 mil, which I feel like is such a ballpark figure. And I feel like that's what everybody would say. But the hard total cost that I really do think it's going to be somewhere in between, without upgrades, 36 mil to 47,750,000. I think that is a very reasonable amount for this update, and that is of course factoring in all the drip feed vehicles. Now day one, you're probably not going to need more than $30 million, honestly, even with upgrades factored in. But when the DLC is all said and done, when all the drip feeds out, when we have everything from this update, I think it's going to be about $47.5 million, somewhere in that neighborhood at least. Anyway guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Mansions is going to be the most expensive DLC we've ever received? I don't know. I personally think it is, but who knows? It's free to speculate on, obviously. I'm excited to see a trailer. When we get a trailer, I might consider making a new version of this video, but I thought it was important to get this out a little bit early so that hopefully you guys still have a little bit of time to prepare before December 9th comes around. I'm releasing this video 1 month before the DLC drops, so make sure you guys are making as much money as you possibly can before the update actually comes out, because I think this is going to be an expensive one, and I think it's going to be one that the community is really going to want to take part in, because I feel like this is something we've all wanted for years. So to finally get Mansions, I think is going to be pretty cool. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, consider dropping a like and subscribing if you guys are new. I'm going to be covering everything to do with Mansions the day it comes out, so stay tuned for that. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.